Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with number 9 in the series Quick Chess Victories. In this series we're looking at a particular opening and we look at what can go wrong very quickly for white or for black. Not by going through theoretical variations but by looking at a few games. All good things come in threes, so we're looking at 3 games. And in this video we're going to do that in the Nimzo-Indian defense, which comes on the board after d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4. And now many moves are possible, but queen c2 is a very popular one. This is not an opening review, we're not going to look at all the theoretical lines here. We're just dipping our toe in and looking at a few variations and see what can go wrong. In this video we're looking at 3 possible options on the 4th move for black, d7, d5. Also possible is knight c6, and finally we're looking at castling kingside on the 4th move. Let's start with d5. It was played in a game between Zagorskaya and Kulagina in Minsk in Belarus in 1996. The white player played bishop g5 here. C takes d5 is the most popular option, but bishop g5 was played in this game by Zagorskaya. Kulagina decided to kick that bishop, it went to h4, c5, and white took on c5 and g5. Kicking the bishop again, back to g3, and now knight e4 was played. With an attack on 2 pieces, and this knight is still pinned. We're still in the theoretical line. White took on d5, and here queen takes d5 is the best move, but black took with the e-pawn. And now e3 is possible, but white decided to take on b8 and brought a little trick in the position. Because the knee-jerk reaction is to recapture on b8, but that's a big mistake as we'll see. What black should play here is first take on c3, an in-between move. White is in check, so you have to take back and then take back on b8. Because if you take back on b8 straight away, which happened in the game, it's up to you now to find a refutation. What did white play which made black resign on the spot? Yes, indeed. Queen a4 check. The standard reaction to queen a4 check with the bishop on b4 is to play a knight from b8 to c6. That shields the check and protects the bishop. But because white took on b8, there is no longer a knight on b8, and now queen a4 check is just a double attack. Check, and the bishop is hanging. White wins a piece and the game. So that is one example of what can go wrong, in this case for black, in a Nimzo-Indian defense. Let's go back. d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, the Nimzo-Indian. We are looking at the queen c2 variation. And we just looked at d5. Let's now have a look at what happens if black plays knight c6 instead. Black wants to strike in the center with d5 and e5. Those moves we often see in a Nimzo-Indian. This came on the board in a game between Healy and Sedlmeier, a correspondence game which was played in 1988. White played knight f3, black castled. Bishop d2 on pinning the knight, d5 striking in the center, e3, rook e8, bishop d3 developing, and there comes e5. Black has a very strong center now. White took on e5, knight takes, rook takes, and white castled queenside. A pawn was swapped on c4, and now we are on move 12. Here a move like queen e7 is possible, moving the queen out of the firing line of the rook on d1, and the position is about equal. But in this position, black made a big mistake. He played rook c5. It's a correspondence game, and for a correspondence game this is a big blunder so early in the game. Attacking the bishop on c4, which is unprotected. But white has a very strong move. Again, if you want to put the video on pause and see what white played which made black resign on the spot, then have a look yourself. White played knight c3 to e4, which is the refutation of that rook c5 move. Black resigned here as he is losing at least an exchange. And I got this game from the book The Quickest Chess Victories from FIDE master Graham Burgess. And Burgess writes, "The moral of the story is always check extremely carefully before playing an unnatural move." Why is knight e4 the refutation of rook c5? It's not very easy, not too difficult either. What white is doing with that move, well, first he is protecting the bishop that was unprotected. The queen is now protecting it. And he's attacking two black pieces. Attacking the rook and attacking the bishop. And bishop takes d2 check as an in-between move does not work, as the rook recaptures attacking the queen. So the rook on c5 will be taken on the next move, giving white a material advantage. So after knight e4, black is going to lose material. The best way to play is to take on c4, giving up the exchange, and then bishop d6. But in a correspondence game, this is a big problem for black, being a full exchange down with no compensation. So after knight e4, black resigned. So once again, we had d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, the Nimzo-Indian, queen c2, and we looked at d5, and we looked at knight to c6. A third option that we're going to look at is if black castles on the fourth move. And this was played in a game Shapiro against Plesset. That was a simultaneous display played in New York in 1948. White played knight f3, d6, g3, e5. We again see that push in the center with the e-pawn from black. D takes, knight takes, and queen d4. Attacking the knight, and black wants to win the c4 pawn back. Knight f3, now that pawn is unprotected, and bishop d2 was played. Knight c6 developing, bishop g2 on the long diagonal, rook e8, and this game was almost over already. We have only played 11 moves. What white can play here is castling and the game goes on, but white blundered. He played b2, b3, attacking black's queen, but it is a move that deserves 2 question marks. And again, if you want to look for yourself, what is the refutation of b3, put the video on pause. Black found it. And of course in this game the white player must have been much stronger than the black player because white was playing a simultaneous display. So a big win for black. He took on e2 with check. That's the refutation of b2, b3. Very nice move. You cannot take with the king because the rook is protected by the queen. And if you take with the knight, then your queen is unprotected. So that's not an option either. So white played his king to d1. But resigned the game after rook takes d2 check. Another very strong move. Why did white resign? Well, if you take that rook, then there is bishop takes c3 check. And if you recapture, there is a very nice knight fork. A family fork, winning the queen. Embarrassment for the white player, losing this game in only 13 moves. So we've seen 2 quick wins for white and 1 quick win for black in a Nimzo-Indian, which is a very dynamic, complex and sharp opening. Hope you enjoyed these 3 examples. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.